All set? Thanks, Julie. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the January 17th, 2024 meeting of the Lyman Planning Board. This meeting will come to order. This is a public proceeding, and unless the board specifically goes into executive session, you have the right to hear everything that is being said and to look at all exhibits that are offered. If the board goes into executive session, the reason for doing so shall be explicitly stated. Now, please notify the chair if you have difficulty seeing or hearing. This meeting is being recorded for YouTube. In each instance, the burden is upon the applicant to demonstrate compliance with the provisions of the applicable ordinance or ordinances. After the board votes on the merits of each project, it will prepare a written opinion which will be forwarded within 7 days. The board works on a prepared agenda and will be considering the items in the following order. We'll have a roll call. First is NX 207, the notice of decision. Peter and Penny Bridgman regarding the sidewalk notes from last Saturday. Rodney Tardif of Duke Lane asking about the requirements for construction of a private road. Brookview Estates subdivision, so from Brock Road, discussing escrow requirements. Updates from the code enforcement officer. Minutes from the January 3rd, 2024 planning board meeting. Under old business, the Harper Residential subdivision down on Kennebunk Road. Kyle Gaspin has a question with respect to a removable dock in a right-of-way easement. Please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Start with the roll call. Don?
Don Hernan, 33 Murphy's Way.
Bill Single, 8 Single Lane.
Joe Wagner, 26 Day Road.
Cecile Dupuy, 53 Chapel Shores Road.
Kevin Vare, 64 Buckinut Pond Road.
The chair will entertain a motion to acknowledge both Bill and Cecile as full voting members for tonight's meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. And just as a bit of housekeeping right off the bat, town manager, I believe, indicated to us that there was a question as to what our preference might be in terms of filling a vacancy for a full voting member with one of our alternates. We've discussed, we just briefly talked about that. And I think in terms of seniority, Cecile would be wanting to take that position. So I'll entertain a motion to communicate to the town manager and the select board that that would be our recommendation.
Chair, I'll make the motion that, as stated, send that.
Second that.
And for, yes,
Can I just note that in the email that the town manager sent along, she has said that, that the term would be up June 30th, and I read the charter.
Right.
And the charter says that you would work out your normal term. So I didn't know if that needs to be part of the motion, or if you could just point that out.
as I read the email, I thought I saw a typographical error with respect to 24, when it should be 25, I think. So I think we're okay on that.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good. Indicate that to the select board. Now, we don't have this on the agenda formally, but I propose, I'd make a motion that we discuss the situation regarding the hum coming from the Du Bois Pit down at Old North Road, Kennebunk Road, actually. For starters, and move that to the front of the agenda. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Du Bois, could you just
Yeah,
address And come on up to the
Microphone.
lectern, please. And what adjustments have you made so far? And
Yeah, so what we did, we put some plywood in front of it, and that changes some, but what we did today was we turned the fins on the fan so they don't grab as much air, and that changed it a lot. We haven't run it since then. We just started it today to try it out and quiet it down like probably a tenth of what it was, you know what I mean? So I think you'll notice a big difference when we started back, whichever day we wind up. Of course, we got weather permitting, you know. But
Is this machine in a building?
no, it's a radiator to cool the generator, you know, like on a motor, but it's not in a building, no, because like most generators are outside. Well, the radiator's outside with the fan outside, you know, and it's where normally it's not the fan itself, it's where it blows the air through the radiator that makes the noise, you know, the fan makes the noise blowing the radiator through. So like any fan on a car or anything, we just change the angle of the fan, you know what I mean? And it changed a lot. That's what we wanted.
You mentioned you put up some plywood to try to muffle some of the sound.
Well, that's what we were doing in front, but instead of that, we thought of today, we said, well, if we change the angle of the fan, it should change it a lot, and that changed it much quicker than doing anything with the plywood. So as long as, like, I think we'll be fine, no problem, all winter, and when it gets warm in the summer, we might have to put a little bit more angle to the fan, you know, so it gets more air, but we'll see. Of course, we've got to watch temperature, and if it does, then we'll have to change it a little bit. But
Home Depot sells that sound deadening plywood, 4x8 sheets.
yes, which
Works really, really well.
yeah, and we could look into that. It's just like I said, right now, I think you'll see it's night and day, as long as it is enough to still cool it, you know, by the way we put the fan, you know.
as, one of our board members is an engineer.
Yep.
And has worked on acoustic muffling, if you will. What would you suggest, Kevin?
See, there's different ways for sound remediation. There's what we call a sound wall, which can be different materials.
Yep.
Typically, it's not just plywood.
Yep.
It's like precast concrete panels that can be up to 6 to 8 inches thick. Can be fiberglass mixed material. There's also things called sound curtains, which are more of a quilted industrial blanket that can also help muffle the sound.
And like I say, if for some reason it gets too hot the way it is, then we'll look into that. You know, we'll change it to. But right now, it's, you know, it's totally different. You know, and you will see that. But if for some reason, the only problem we'll have now is if for some reason the way it is, if it doesn't cool the radiator enough, you know, then we'll have to, you know, change the angle of the fans and then obviously work on that differently than what it is. But
I would still recommend some form of a sound.
if you take the time to come see, you'll see. It's like, it don't even, like when I turned it on today, because I was in the generator and he was out there, I didn't think the motor turned on because you didn't even, you know, you couldn't hear it. It just heard generate, you know what I mean? So it's really a big difference of what it was, you know. You'll see it don't have the hum at all, you know, the way it is. Like I said, the only thing is now we you know, we didn't use it yet. So to see if it cools it enough, that will be the difference, you know.
Exactly. We're in the coldest days of the year.
Right. So obviously if it doesn't,
When that
but
thing
again,
is
like,
cooling,
if we have to turn it a little bit, it still won't be the same noise of what it was. So I think it's got way more cooling it had than what it needs, you know. So I think even if we got to turn it a little bit, it still won't be the same humming that it had, and we can adjust it a little bit. Right now we put it, you know, pretty much straight. And again, if it needs a little more, we put a little more, but it changed it. So, you know, we were just trying to see what it would do. And that cut it, like I said, like, you know, pretty much down that you don't really hear the fan at all. You don't hear the humming at all.
Mr. Bailey, stopping on by and
Yeah, that's why I said, of
looking,
course,
listening.
this time of year, it's stop and go. Like when you came last time, we had it running. So,
Right.
you know, if you get a chance to stop by, I could give you my number just to make sure I'm running it, you know, so you don't have to come up for nothing or whatever. But yeah, stop by. And like I said, that's why I said when you came the other day.
Way, I was thinking, you know,
Yeah.
of some sort.
Yeah, but I just feel you'll see
DIY
right now,
kind of
there's
guy,
no
but,
problem with it.
Yeah.
And obviously, if we got to put it back, you know, more at an angle, we'll do, you know, go.
We want to make sure this is a permanent fix. I mean, it's been going on for a long time now.
Right,
There's a lot
but
of-
this is the first time you consulted us with it, and we did something.
Very
You know what I mean? We're gonna fix it. Like I said, right now it's fixed. And if for some reason we gotta change the angle and it changes the noise, well, then we'll do something with it, you know?
I think part of it was uncertainty as to where was the origin
Yeah,
of the sound. Your-
right. I mean, this is the first time you brought it to our attention.
I appreciate you being.
You know what I mean? And yes, well, and again, if we make a little bit more noise than what it is, we got an engineer that said he's got a guy that comes, we can check the noise coming out from the property, you know? But
I just think you need to understand that this is not the first time we've heard about it. And
right,
it's been months.
Okay,
So if
yeah.
if they say, hey, we want to do something, you gotta understand why.
right. I'm just saying, you came and seen us, and
Yep.
the first time you came, like I told you when you came the other day, within 2 hours, I went down and tried plywood. You know what I mean? And when you came back, I said, yeah, that didn't do what I was hoping, so we're gonna put, you know, but I didn't, you know, you came, I didn't blow you off. You know what I mean?
You're here right now.
Right,
So,
you know, so,
I think dialogue continues.
yes,
And again, whenever Mr. Wheeler can stop on by. and-
Yes, that's why I said, come up and you'll see it. It's not, you know, you don't have the humming at all. You'll notice it, so.
Any questions of Mr. Du Bois from those in attendance? So,
Thank you.
thank you. Yes, Ms. Cheney.
Was any sound testing ever done? Because I know a lot of things were talked about when we were here a couple of weeks ago, and I'm just not sure because we heard so many different things.
Um,
And did you mention something about an engineer? That,
Well, like he said, if you have to, he's our engineers, like he said, I think from the property line, we could test, you know, the sound of it, you know, so but like I said, what we did today, really, you'll see a big difference, you know.
To the best of my recollection, at the last meeting, we encouraged the code enforcement officer to contact all of the pits in that area to see where the origin might, where was the origin. And just coincidentally, I think a day or so after that, Friday that week, I went down there and drove that, you know, from Drown to Hammond to Gray to Rustic, and then over to the other pits. So heard where it was coming from. So, yes, Mr. Armstrong.
So is there, other than folks doing their best to work this out, is there any other sort of process or record of this interaction? Or I'm not asking for fines, I'm not asking, it just goes down to the minutes of the meeting, is that correct?
Yes, it does. And, you know, I think maintaining the dialogue and having the pit owner make the accommodation, making adjustments is a step in the right direction.
Yeah,
With-
absolutely.
With, again, the notion that this will be an ongoing process.
So, and if it's not able to be rectified at this time, or if during the warmer weather, adjustments for them to run their business, I get that. And that sound comes back and is disturbing to the other residents there. What the recourse is, we
Further contact the board further and the gentleman from the Boys Brothers. And so additional adjustments might be necessary. Now, the solve is based on, I believe, the second of the 16 standards that we consider in approving a use. And part of that is noise not disturbing the immediate area, distant areas.
I'm just curious, did you guys add, was there a new piece of equipment or anything?
No, it's been the same generator that we've had for 10 years.
There's probably more trees,
Probably
more trees that got cut.
Yeah,
Because this time of year, there's not
leaves
leaves
on
to use,
here.
so you hear it more.
Yeah. A lot of those things, but like I said, it made very big difference today. And all of a sudden,
But did you run it today?
We just
We
started.
we just started it to do that, and started up.
15
see what
minutes.
the noise
Let's see
would
what-
be, you know what I mean? And, and like I said, it stopped the humming completely, barely, you don't really hear the fan. And if we have to move the fan, it won't be as much as it was, but again, then we'll work on putting something on it.
I have a question. If this has been in operation for 10 to 12 years,
Yes.
is it possible that the aging process of the equipment now does
No.
it need maintenance maybe?
No,
Because it's
No,
amazing that
you've
this
seen it.
noise would
The
not have
radios
been
are brand new.
inevitable, inevitable
It's,
before.
no, it's, probably ran more often now.
Yeah.
But it's the same, I'm sure it's the same noise you've always heard, you know, it's the same piece, it's pretty much in the same spot it always was.
Mm.
It's, you know, through the years, it goes like even further down, and clear some more, you know, some.
So does the machine that's been identified as making this up, does that move with your operation?
No, that's just a stationary generator.
It is portable,
It's
but we
portable,
never moved it.
but we never move it, you know, it's just sat
Been
there
the
and
same
everything
spot.
else is hooked to it electrically, you know.
No, I was just curious, I did not hear it 10 years ago, so,
No,
no, not at all.
and it wasn't ran as much.
There's a lot more wood, with a lot more wood trees,
Sure.
10 years ago than what there is now.
Well, thank you for working to rectify this out.
Yeah, no problem. You know, that's what, you know, I appreciate it. That's what I try to do. He said, well, when do you think you do it? I said, I'll try to do it in a few days. And called the other guy, we got some plywood, you know, we put that. And he came back and said, I didn't really do what I was hoping, so we're gonna do something, you know what I mean, do something else. And we did, you know.
Any further questions or comments from the board, from
I would also just thank the board for your efforts to try to work this out for everybody.
what we're supposed to do?
And when it does come back online, if it continues to be a nuisance, please let us, the CEO, everybody know, and specifically the Du Bois.
Yes,
Sorry.
Jenny.
I'm not clear, what is, we do have a sound and noise ordinance, right, in town?
We did.
And just because I've heard a lot of times bandied around in all these conversations, what are the times of day that things can
Mhm.
take place?
I'm not make sure I'm saying it. The noise ordinance itself, it has a chart, and I believe that the decibel levels that we're talking about are here are below that. That friend of the Gateway said the same. And it's a mineral extraction, 1160. Page 60?
I haven't tested it.
Yes, just came across it. G, I think it is.
Between what 60 decibels in that home.
G, yes. Hours of operation shall be set by the planning board, but crushers and screeners shall not operate except between the hours of 7 a.m. and 4 p.m., Monday through Friday. And no crushing or screening on Saturday, Sunday, or any state or federal holiday. Yes, right in the ordinance.
Page 64.
I guess I have one other question. Is that machine that has been identified as making the sound, is that at all associated with your agricultural operation?
Are we all good? Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Let's hope it works.
Let's move on to the next item on the agenda, MX 207. Are we all set in terms of the notice of decision? I think I've sent out what I recorded in my notes as the conditions. And if everyone had a chance to take a look at that, sent that out
Yes.
Friday, the 12th of this month.
I didn't print them out for you. I'm sorry.
Oh.
So they haven't-
We did get it by email though.
I did, I don't. So,
Would you like me to just briefly read through them, or?
Sure. It's a good idea.
Let's see. Any future sales of food by the applicant will be subject to the review and approval of the State Department of Health and Human Services. Again, this is for MX207, the motorcycle motocross establishment in the northern portion of town. Number 2, on-site review of the facility may be conducted biannually by the code enforcement officer, the Goodwin's Mills Fire Department, and the Lyman Electrical Inspector. 3, the applicant will notify the planning board of any proposed change in the use of the facility. And 4, the code enforcement officer and the planning board will be notified of the location of a fueling pad before the reopening of operations at the facility. That's the best of my recollection of what we had.
Does it say anything about that second exit?
No.
I think that was, I don't know, was that we make that a condition?
I didn't think we made it conditional.
No, I don't- maybe we
because
didn't.
The fire chief was.
Yeah. He was satisfied with that, yeah.
And it was on their site plan.
Yeah, that's right, okay.
So with those additions to the notice of decision, everyone's agreeable to that?
Mhm.
And then
Right.
We can get it signed on its way.
And this will get him set up now for the next season. He'd be totally okay as long as he coordinates with the fire department
Right.
and does what he's supposed to do there with that.
Which he has.
Well, I would like to know, we also got a favorable recommendation from a butter on that facility.
It's true. Do we need to vote on this? Or shall we take it just to make sure that the,
Oh, we already voted on
I think
Yeah, we voted on it
it.
before.
okay,
So it just needs to be signed.
good enough then.
Somebody-
All right.
somebody
Those
check it.
additions.
Somebody joined Zoom.
Hello? You probably-
All right. Next on the agenda, Peter and Penny Bridgman. We conducted a site walk last Saturday with respect to the deck that was put on the property. Don, you have the notes on that, or?
Yeah, well, okay, we did the site walk, 10 o'clock on Saturday. We had one neighbor there. Basically observed this, I mean, the deck, there's no pier there or anything. It's a deck, but it's very close to the water. It looks nice. I mean, it looks like it's well constructed. We took a bunch of photos. So the issue really is whether that's allowable in the shoreline, which I would say personally, I mean, let me put it this way. I think that the deck is well constructed, certainly is sturdy. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the deck as constructed that I could see. The issue is that it's extremely close to the water's edge of the pond. And it's in shoreline zoning, which is, well, I would say it's unfortunate, but it's not, it's unfortunate that it's in shoreline zoning. It's also unfortunate that the shoreline zoning, to my opinion, does not allow that. And I think there was another email from, I'm not sure I have it right here in front of me, but there was an email we received after, I don't know if this was before or after the site walk. I'm not sure. Have you all seen that or not? It came from the EPA.
You should have a copy.
Oh, it's in the-
of that email in your-
Oh, it's in the folder. Oh, here it is. Okay, maybe here. We should, yeah, this is bad news here. Well, it's from, it's from Jeffrey Kalinich, Kalinich, and it was sent to the code enforcement officer Thursday, January 11th. And this gentleman is apparently he works for the state EPA, I believe. He's assistant shoreland zoning coordinator. And I guess there's two parts of this. First, if I got this right. First one, he says, this was January 11th at 9:52 in the morning, so he's up early. He says, "Hi, Brenda. I was made aware of the attached planning board permit application for a deck 3 feet from the NHWL," which I guess is what, the normal high water line of Barker's Pond. why is this before the planning board? And then code enforcement answered and said, this structure is actually after the fact built directly on the ground without sonotubes or any kind of support. Do you feel that this shouldn't have gone to the planning board? And is it a PBR, which stands for permit by rule? And then the gentleman answered shortly thereafter saying, it is a deck, not a dock. Even if it were a dock, the dimensions exceed what is permissible. There should be a NOV, notice of a violation, requiring removal. That is from this gentleman who's apparently works for the state as assistant shoreline zoning coordinator for our area. And I believe they do it by area of the state, by region. So, and okay, in the back of it describes he's a Maine Department of Environmental Protection, Portland, Maine, et cetera. It gives his phone numbers and his address, his email address. But I think we have a problem. I mean, let me put it this way. I would say, it seems to me, unfortunately, you have a problem because this was put in, and I think you said you had you thought there was a permit, but there is no, I don't know that we have a record of a permit for this. And I don't think you said you have a record of a permit being pulled. So if the permit had been pulled, well, let me put it this way. At least in theory, if the permit was requested, the code enforcement officer at the time, which would not have been Brenda, should have said, no, you can't do this because it's too close to the water. But unfortunately, now you've spent quite a bit of money to install this, and whoever did it did a nice job construction. But you got a deck, which is not a dock, a deck, nicely constructed, but it is apparently illegal in the shoreline zoning district. I mean, that's the facts of it. Now, the only thing I would say is that I would just say from perspective of one planning board member, planning board does not have any ability, should it not, it does not have and cannot authorize a waiver to either the shoreland zoning or the regular zoning ordinance. We can't do that. There is a procedure in the Lyman zoning ordinance for an appeal to be made to the zoning board of appeals, and it gives, I think, 4 criteria in there. And it's in the book. I'm not sure this falls under. I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just saying I'm not sure this falls under that. So the bad news is, I mean, no sugarcoating this thing. You know, unfortunately, you have a problem, and it's because your contractor apparently did not follow the right process. I mean, I don't know that for sure, but it sure looks that way. So I don't know. So I'm not sure there's anything else we can say here.
So what would the recommendation be?
To remove it, which would cost the homeowner, which is you guys, a good bit of money, unless there's a
I've got
waiver.
Question for Brenda. Brenda, I know it's not a dock, it's a deck. In that zoning area, shoreline, would the dock requirements be similar to putting something on the land? In other words, instead of putting the dock in the water, can I put the dock on the land as long as I move it after 6 months? Just asking.
A temporary dock, according to item 17 on the land use chart in the shoreline zone, says that a temporary dock can be permitted by the code enforcement officer. Permanent dock would need to be permitted by the planning board. The reason why I referred it to you is because that number 17 says and other structures.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not sure what that meant. DEP is very adamant that it certainly doesn't need decks.
No.
So I would expect that that might now become best practical location.
But a dock extends 4 feet into the water maybe, and on the land, could possibly be permissible.
It can only be, I believe, the requirements 4 feet wide. You know all the criteria
6 feet,
for a dog.
yeah. 6 foot,
Is it 6 foot?
6 foot max, yeah.
So 6 foot, and then there's all kinds of
Yeah.
criteria, how far it can go out, what shape it can have.
Just thinking.
Yeah, and this doesn't meet any of that criteria that I can see.
But that's an accessory structure, am I correct?
The dog, no,
The deck.
the deck is, yes.
Deck by definition would be an accessory structure.
And it says that has to be back 100 feet from the water.
That's right.
And it can't be any closer than the principal structure.
Right.
So is there any modification that we could do to the structure that we have to, I mean, so initially there was a deck there before we built ours, but it had degraded.
Just
And-
stop right there.
Mhm.
If you are remodeling something, there is things you can do. That's not what was brought forward. Am I correct?
Right. there's no permit.
So
Well,
I would-
I feel like the conversation has happened in bits and pieces. It hasn't been like a whole, conversation. So when we first purchased the property, there was like a broken down structure that had been there. And it was thrown kind of into the water. So the place that, and we just, we thought, okay, let's fix this. And that's what we did. But, and we removed the old debris of what had been there before. So that was how this whole thing kind of happened.
So Brenda, am I correct? You can repair,
But not.
upgrade,
Okay.
fix. I mean, even if you just keep one nail and upgrade,
No, more than a nail, right?
Not true.
50%.
No.
More than
We're
50%.
trying. Brenda?
If we were to decide that this was a pre-existing, non-conforming structure, it's been there forever.
Mhm.
And I tell people, you could bring me a picture of you sitting on the dock with grandpa back in 1958, then we'll talk. But even then, you can only replace or repair 49%, 49% of the value of the original structure. If you go over that 49%,
Considered new.
then it becomes the best practical location consideration.
but at least there's an avenue. If you go with best practical location, it could be a discussion.
The fact that they've exceeded the 50%,
Well, I think you have
then
to,
yes, it becomes the best practical location for the planning board. That it
Yes.
kicks that into that. So that if you decided that this was the best practical location, then you have to apply the criteria for a best practical location. It is a structure.
so there is a pathway, but you need to go document what you have.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's something we
I don't know.
didn't have the foresight to do. Unfortunately, we didn't keep anything. We just were on a mission to clean up the property because it was in such disrepair and there was a lot of, we wanted to be good neighbors and clean out all the
Yeah.
garbage that was
Done it.
kind of on that property.
It's a beautiful property, no question about it, the way you've done
A lot of
it.
work to it,
Yeah.
a lot.
About the history on the property, do you have, do you check on what the town has history on the property with
Well,
permits?
it seems
Yeah,
like
they're-
the town, it seems like a lot of the work that was done on the property before we bought the property was done. There's not a lot of documentation that I'm aware
Is there-
of.
When did you buy
So you
that?
need to have documentation.
When did you buy it?
We bought it in 2019.
Okay. Go on Google Earth. There's
Oh,
a history you can go back on.
Yeah,
Go back in the history, you'd be amazed what you can find.
Yeah, I've already done that, and all it shows is
there's a lot of tree coverage, so
Mhm.
there,
it goes back before he even cut all the trees down on the property. I don't even know if he got a permit to cut the
Probably
trees
did.
down
so
on
there
that
was like a lot
property.
of stuff done, and we're just kind of, we want to be righteous before the town. We don't want to do anything that's not righteous, because that's not good in our conscience. But I guess my question would be, okay, we have a structure there. It's kind of being determined as a structure. We thought of it as let's fix this because it's broken down, it's actually in the code. We pulled out so much stuff out of that code that was already in the water. And so the prior owner, whatever had happened there, they just saw fit to just kind of throw it in that code. That code became a dump. So we removed all of that stuff out of there. And then we're just like, okay, let's put this back. And that's how our structure is there now. So I guess my question would be, is there any way that we could keep something legal there? And if we have to modify the lumber and everything that we use to create this structure, is there any way that we can modify it in a way that is,
It meets the.
it meets the criteria of whatever that would be?
If it were me, I'd be going to the registry of deeds to see what's registered for that property. Is there a survey plan? Does it show something there? I would be going back through Google Earth again, and any place that I could find out, I might even be calling the previous owners. Do you have any documentation on this? What do you have for hand notes? Anything.
Well,
That's where you gotta go.
yeah, I mean, we've had permit issues with previous structures on the property
Yeah.
because of the previous owners
So I
that
don't
we
think
got
that
stuck with when we
Yeah.
bought the property unknowns to us when we bought it.
Yeah, like we had what was classified as a bunkhouse, which we had no idea what that was. So we've straightened all of that out, and we're just like trying to just kind of amend the property, amend the buildings, and do everything that we can to bring everything as it should be, and and legally, because I don't want to have anything nagging in the back of my head. I don't want any of that. That's not a situation that I invite. But what I would like to do now that everything is the way that it is there any way that we could modify the structure in a way that we could keep something that we could relax on down there that's approvable?
A dock, you could create a dock with a 6-foot platform at the end.
Okay.
If it's temporary, Brenda can give you a permit for it. If it's permanent, you want it to stay there year round, then you have to come before the planning board, right? But I think the dimensions have to comply with what the state
So
requires.
what size dock can sit on dry land versus what's in the dock?
It really
It's the
can't.
same thing, it's the 6 feet.
6 feet?
It has
So
to
it would be
go
6 feet in length or 6 feet in width?
No, the width.
Okay, 6 feet.
And the
wide.
length, I think, it depends on how far you have to go out so that you can safely navigate your boat or swim, jump off, to dive off the. So if you have to go out, I don't think there's a limit as to how far you can go out.
So does that mean, is there a minimum to how far we can go out?
I don't think so.
Because I really, there's already, and I'm sure it's grandfathered, there's already,
But-
I don't know why that is.
You guys have seen what
Yeah,
it
there's
is,
that
how
old
that,
kind of, and we don't want to crowd, our neighbors, and we don't want to, so I'm just wondering, like, is there a minimum on how far we can go out with that?
Brenda's gonna hate
Yeah, I don't think
Well,
so.
the intention-
Because it's just been that whole cove is,
It is.
Can you put a T on the land and go out?
No, nothing can run parallel.
Right.
All has to be perpendicular. The intent of the dock is to moor a boat of some kind. So I guess if you only want to go 6 by 6, if you can, I don't know, moor your ski there or whatever. I don't own property in shoreline, so I don't know. That's the definition of a dock.
Yeah.
And people do use their docks like decks. We see it all over the lakes, so.
yeah.
and
Just to
you-
fish.
A couple of chairs out
like-
there.
Like, we like to sit out there and just fish and.
Right.
Oh, the thing with the dock, it has to be moved out. It has to be taken
When
out.
we take it out for winter.
You gotta take it out.
Understood.
Yep.
You had mentioned that, the
That's a
state,
temporary dock. Is there something as far as a permanent dock that can stay there?
The permanent dock, which comes under the purview of the planning board, and I don't know the construction of the dock. Does that mean that there must be piers?
There's gotta be
into
something.
the-
Into the
Pilings or
ground, and
something.
it just doesn't, it stays there more than 7 months. I think it references 7 months in the shoreline.
So if it's built to be permanent, that it actually piers into the.
And what is a pier? What is that?
The post that they sent you around.
Okay.
Hmm.
Now, was that harmful in any way? Would that be considered harmful?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, I don't know the construction of these things, maybe someone else does, and I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe running that by DEP.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the DEP document that you mentioned earlier said that it was within 4 feet of the water. I mean, we have an extremely abnormally high water level right now. And when we built this, the water was,
Out there.
yeah, it was,
It's a
Because
three-
there's grasses that grow up in front of the deck that we just keep there because we have a blue heron that likes to live there. So we don't mow or move anything out of there, just because of the heron that likes to have that home. So we wanted to keep that grassland there for the birds.
You go on the town website, I can't remember, it's on the right-hand top side, ordinances.
okay.
You can get this stuff, all the regulations are there. You're welcome to print them and digest them, sleep on, them, put them under your pillow.
If you go online to do Google search, there are some articles out there from like real estate companies that deal with shoreland property. And they talk about that, how the state rules on docks and piers and all of that. So that might be helpful too.
I think well, I'm not optimistic on this. I wanted to ask about the steps, the stairs.
Yes. about
The
that.
stairs are very nice. They're useful. They take you right down there. What's the issue with how does that fit into the equation? I guess my question.
If stairs are required to have access to the lake, there are a lot, I mean, I don't know how long the stairs are.
Yeah.
The DEP doesn't like a long flight of stairs that creates like a funnel for water.
Oh.
So they like to meander, their word, not mine.
Mhm.
So you would have a few steps of land in turn, and a few steps of land in turn, if it goes very long. I think if it's 10, 12 foot.
Yeah, just,
Yeah.
well, would it be possible, let's say the deck was removed. Would it be possible to put a patio down there or no? Because that causes the same thing, causes runoff.
It has to be.
If it was reduced in size, it could be put at the bottom of the stairs and that could be a dock, right?
Well, how can it be a dock if it's not in the water?
If you're at the bottom of the stairs, you're in the water. Is that correct?
Oh, well,
No, not, well, I mean, if we change the structure of the deck and elongated it and took, instead of making it as wide as it is, we would elongate it, and then that would be, I think that would conform to a dock,
Yeah, the dock has to be in the water,
yeah,
attached to the land, but
yeah.
I believe if you have stairs to the dock, you're allowed on landing. But there again, that has to be 6 feet wide. I mean, you can't make your landing
No, understood, yeah, so it's gotta be 6 feet wide by
as
whatever
as
length.
narrow as
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, understood.
So it seems like it isn't all that long, so I don't think a meander would be necessary. But going down to where the base of the steps are, it's like 12 or 13 steps.
Yeah,
And starting at the first platform there and extending it out as a dock, I think would be permissible. Just moving this portion down.
so just the side portion out, but just to put it out there, the stairs have actually improved the runoff. That was because we would have these huge, it would come down from the top of our driveway, all the down, we would trip in the ravine and have to fill it. So I don't know what those stairs did, but they actually helped with the runoff. There's no longer that ravine that ran behind the side of our house, so that's actually been really helpful.
I don't really have a problem with the steps. I don't.
No, what process would the applicants have to go through here?
I think what they should do.
To make it
now
totally
is
legal.
Decide whatever they are going to do, if they're going to convert the deck to a dock, just pull a building permit, show me, the framing plans, need the measurements and all of that. Just just pull a building permit
Okay.
and, we can work together.
Okay, okay, then I think like that's really gonna be our plan of action, you know, because maybe we can recycle some of the wood that we've used.
Is there any, do you have any recourse with the contractor?
Well, this contractor, when you use the word contractor, the person that built our deck wasn't really a contractor, just a friend of a friend.
Oh,
So not anybody who is like,
well, then sort of obvious, and then that person probably did not go through the permit process. Sounds that
Typically,
way.
any work done in the shoreline zone, contractor should be certified.
Certified.
Should be certified, yeah.
Yeah, there's some
so
rules
a
there.
certified contractor.
Certified for shoreland.
Right.
So do you have any resources for finding one?
I think
There's
the
a
state
site on
does.
There's a
DEP that lists all
Yeah.
the, and
Okay,
if you can't find that, let me know.
okay, okay, then we'll proceed that way then.
It's not, this isn't good news. I mean, I'm sorry that it isn't. It's not,
Well,
I mean, it's,
Well,
there's,
you know, it's news that we have, I mean, the bottom line is as property owners, we want to be compliant with the town. The rules are there for a reason, and we just want to be compliant with the town. We want to obviously have a place where we can relax in that area on our property. But we want to be compliant. We just want to do the right thing. Literally, that's all we want to do. I want to sleep well at night. Like this space is taking up way too much space in my head.
no, I'm sure it's bothered,
I'm
it would
sorry.
bother me. It would bother me, I'm sure. Bothers you.
Yeah.
So I guess the difficult question is like, how much time do we have to try to
Right.
remediate this issue?
Well, it's winter time, so I feel like we can't do anything at this point just because of the weather. But as soon as like the weather and it's buildable and changeable, we would ask that we would be given some time to
So-
do that.
Brenda, is that something that this board's gonna give a notice of a decision on something?
I think it does.
Or do you just say, you can't do that, you've
That's
gotta
a good
rectify it, and then you work with her to get it resolved?
I think because it has been on the agenda, you have done a site plan, a site walk. I always like to bring things into closure.
Mhm.
I would like to see you, make a motion that the structure would be removed. I have no intention of writing a notice of violation. And I think it would be difficult to stipulate a time frame. I would just ask that maybe you say
As soon as practicable,
as soon as practical. I like that.
put in the right weasel words.
It's a weasel.
You're good at that, Don.
Well, I mean, if I were the homeowners, I'd be very disturbed, frankly. And, because I know how much it costs to do things, and you sound like, or not sound like, obviously by visiting your site, you've done some very nice work there. You're not cutting corners, things like that. And this is probably a shock to you. So, if there's any way it can be done, I mean, but it's going to require your action, obviously.
Right,
And then it's a matter of, how much time it takes you to get a authorized contractor. If you, I'm not sure,
Well, I mean, I'm just gonna line one up as soon as, probably Friday, I'll work on that. I have the day off after Friday, so I'll just go right ahead and see if I can't find somebody else. to do
I was
this.
going to ask one question. Let's say if I were the homeowner there, being rather frugal, and I want to do the work myself,
I have no problem.
well, I mean, but is that authorized?
It is on.
If the homeowner, like a homeowner can do certain work on his house, his or her house themselves.
They absolutely can. The only thing there is responsible is a contractor for any erosion control. In this instance, I don't think there's any disturbance of the ground or
Mhm.
anything.
No, that wasn't.
So I wouldn't be looking for that. I would have no problem with them working that.
So I don't know whether that's an option with you, with
So
y'all.
we
or-
would be able to do the work as the homeowners. Okay.
That's
But I would suggest putting together a plan that said what you were going to do
Right.
and
yeah.
discussing it with the code enforcement officer to make sure
It's-
everybody's on the same
Right.
page and we don't have a problem with the DEP
right.
on this, because that's not going to be helpful for anybody.
Yeah, we don't want to create anything on the property that's going to disturb, wildlife or any plant growth or anything there, I mean, that's really just our,
The wildlife might be the people.
Well, but there's also, like, I'm even noticing that, underneath the deck, like, there are little animals that are creating homes underneath, the stairs, and, I was looking at it today, and like, there's little chipmunks and critters running in and out of there, and we just wanna just keep the,
As long as they're not endangered.
They'll-
they're not.
They're not gonna leave, they'll find them.
Yeah,
Snail
they're
darters.
always-
So, as I understand it right now, it's the deck, it's the deck itself. So
Well,
we
like-
have the stairs, and then we have
platform.
the platform that's a landing for the bottom of the stairs can stay. But the flat part of the deck,
Has to be 6 feet
kind of
wide.
approached and just, so it would be this part right here that we would want to remove. We could keep this landing and step and this landing step here, and then just say, come off
I would say,
this way with a
provided that it doesn't exceed 6
6 feet
feet.
wide.
Yeah,
Okay,
Because that will give it max.
all right.
in terms
It
of
has to be over
extension.
the water.
It has to go into the water.
That has to
Right,
be
right,
over
yeah,
the
but we
water.
would,
So your stairs would need to go to the edge, or if you want a gangplank or whatever, that would go to
Yeah.
the block too.
Okay. So just as long as like there are at least 2 pilings in the water that have to.
see, our neighbors have a dock that goes up here that goes off. from the
Which we
side.
know is grandfathered, I mean, that thing has been there since the dawn of creation probably.
It's
Probably like sturdier than ours, because it's petrified.
Would touch that or.
Yeah, we
No.
would just,
It's too
we would
far.
just come off the side.
And just, we don't, I mean, that's why I was asking, is there a minimum of length that,
I would be looking for it now.
okay, just because we don't want it to come to, like, the whole code just be dot,
Span.
I think the wording for the dock in the water is it can be as long as you need to be able to dock the boat.
The boat,
Yeah.
So in other words,
So for our kayaks, we could,
right,
Really,
or usable for swimming or whatever.
yeah, okay.
But,
so there's
So-
flexibility.
but there has to be a plan, right?
So
Yeah,
when,
yeah,
so
no,
when you
we'll
say
put
a
it-
plan, do you mean like a schematic?
Well, we
A
have to come
drawing.
up with a
When
drawing.
you pull your building permit, you'll just show me, what you're going to build and how you're going to build it. Much like you've done with your other projects.
With dimensions,
And then,
right?
and
Any
the
dimensions.
dimensions, and then would, if there's anything that, from our drawing or whatever we put together our plan, would you be able to just kind of give us guidance, like if we're like,
That's what I do.
okay, all right.
So along those lines, if you don't mind, go ahead, Brenda.
I would just like to say, I've worked with these property owners for what, 6, 7, 8 months now, and I really appreciate, it's really commendable how cooperative they've been, they really want to do the right thing, and I really wish that everybody that I worked with, they had that approach. We had talked before about establishing lake associations, I'm not sure Barker Pond has one, but it's people like this that you should think about maybe starting one. I just, the attitude that they bring forward is just, it's commendable, that's all. And the lake is a big investment for everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
and
is, yeah.
in full disclosure, I'm also in charge of making sure the road stays cleared, so we collect the fund.
Yeah. We have like a
Everybody.
plow fund that we organize.
Sounds like a perfect candidate.
I don't know, I don't want anybody, we just want to be good neighbors, that's all we want to do. And we
Sounds
have a
like you
Facebook Barker's Pond page that we all like.
I find that people generally want to do the right thing, they just don't always know what the right thing is. And-
Could I just ask you a question about the road? Going down to your property, well, at least one way, you get to a point where there's a tree on one side and a power pole on the other side. And it's pretty narrow there.
I know there's an ordinance that they're discussing about making, a minimum distance is 20 feet.
Who's discussing?
Like the town
Ordinance for the
Public
community.
private.
Yeah. and we've heard
Not so
that they're
sure.
planning on voting on it soon, but we would have to talk to Dayton Sand and Gravel,
Yeah,
because
they own
Rusty
that.
owns the road. We're in charge of maintaining it because we have residences on the road.
Well, I just wondered if anybody had checked with the fire department to see whether emergency vehicles can get
Well, we
through.
did have the fire marshal come down for the ADU that we now have.
Mhm.
The approved ADU. And they didn't seem like there was any type of problem they were able, because we've had like, they didn't say that there was any type of problem with getting
No, the only thing I was going to point out is you don't need medical services until you need them, and then when you need them, you really need them.
Well,
That's right, and that's why we work very hard to keep the whole, that's why we have the Facebook.
Anyway, that's
page,
off
and that's
the,
why
I don't
we
mean to
work
get
hard
off the
keep
topic,
the
but
no, but Dayton Sand and Gravel brings out
Yeah.
their,
And they've widened the road
They-
since we've
Hmm.
kind of looked at them.
they bring out their big, I don't know how big their dump trucks are, the big.
Gotcha.
8 yard- is it
they
8
get
yard?
through there.
And they slide through there. They even have their heavy equipment, low bed trailers.
Really?
Go out through there. So they're threading the needle and they still get in and out of that.
That's amazing.
Okay.
They don't clear the snow though, right?
No, we
No,
do.
but they maintain.
We hire, so basically what happens is all the residents on the Palmy Huron residents, they chip in, we
Right.
pay $500 a year at this point. Gas prices have gone down, I know I'm getting recorded, but, and then we hire somebody to come out and clear the roads to keep them clear, and we kind of inherited that from Connie and Chuck. And, we moved on maybe a year or so later.
Right, but Rusty is in charge of making sure, not making sure, but I'll call him up and say, hey,
It's
this
so
road
good.
is washboarded up so bad, we're rattling our teeth coming across the road. He'll come out with the graders and
Fix it
he'll
up.
bring his
He's
trucks.
so
and
good.
he'll
He's
do
so
it all
good.
out for
Yeah.
us, So,
Yeah, he's really, really just, he goes above and beyond too, because he'll bring out dirt and and he's even actually widened some of it. So.
How about this for a motion? Move that the applicants remove the deck portion of the structure, apply for a building permit to build apply for a building permit to install a dock. A dialogue with the code enforcement officer on the design and the planning, and also consult with the DEP to make sure that it passes muster with that.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
No, sounds like a good,
All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Best of luck with your project.
Thank you. We'll keep you updated, we'll send pictures.
Okay.
There's always solutions.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Mr. Gladney Carter.
Thank you.
Next.
Basically, what we're trying to do is,
Yeah, please come on up.
we're trying to figure out on a private road off of Duke Lane.
Okay.
It started way back with, yeah, it started way back with Patty, what she told us to do. And now what's happening and all that. She told us originally to upgrade, because it's a woods road. It's an old woods road off of there, to upgrade the road. And then we could, she'd come out, look at it, and then we could name it. Because I need to get my frontage to be able to build, because I only have 71 feet on Duke Lane. And I'm just trying to find, I've been going over this probably for the last almost like 9 months now with code enforcement, trying to get what information or what process I need to bring to you guys for this.
Is that where there's a building in there somewhere?
Abenaki Horse Club.
That's what I was gonna ask. Yeah, okay. so
I butt up against Abenaki Horse Club.
Oh,
That's rough. That's a rough road.
Right. Duke Lane is already, but see, I've already gone to the extent to improve my right-of-way road all the way in, because that's what Patty told us to do. So, and I know, and then you're telling me about the road requirements, about all the different gravels and all this and that, and I don't want to have to rip that road back up. Oh, yeah, it's all compacted gravel, right? The only thing that's need to be done to it would be the topping of the fine grade. But I would like to be able to do the heavy equipment stuff through there before we put the fine grade on. So that's basically what I'm trying to find out, what steps I need to get this approved so we can name it, so I can be able to pull a building permit to build my house. And it feeds my lot for and then it feeds a back lot of my brother's.
So
Brenda?
I thought I had my own section.
you got it right here.
Do you know what color it is?
It's right here. Are they? It's
Pink,
pink.
kind of like
Is
a
this-
salmon color.
But what I'm
The
I-
charters
that
need
could-
to create road frontage.
So I mean, I get the blueprint if you guys want to
What
see
they
it.
have on Duke Lane isn't enough.
Right.
built. So they need to create a road frontage, so it can't really be a right of way.
Okay.
So,
So is this a private way,
it's a private way,
which is on page 14, I believe, where it says, this is a non-exempt private way, I think.
I've never been able to find the definition of exempt and non-exempt.
Well, I thought exempt
Don't
was,
know what that means.
I thought exempt, maybe I'm wrong, but I,
Exempt is salaried and non-exempt is hourly. That's all I know.
okay, so it defines private way as a privately owned street providing legal access and lot frontage to no more than 10 residential lots, to no more than 10. And then it says, a private way exempted, a private way serving residential lots exempted by Lyman subdivision review as defined in, gives a state statute, and construction to this, and constructed to the standard of section 2.0 of the Lyman street design, blah, 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 blah. So I don't know what, I guess I don't know what it says in that 30A, the referenced state document. So I originally thought a private way exempted was something that had been grandfathered, but that, or, it's pre-existing, but I don't think that's right. I don't know. I don't know what that says in that doggone referenced state statute. So,
I have a dumb question if I could, Brenda. The section 1.2 says the purpose of this is to establish appropriate standards for design and construction of all streets to be accepted as town ways. Is that what we want to be looking at?
no.
I didn't think so.
No.
No, because we're already off of a private way.
That's right.
Yeah,
Duke
they're on-
Lane.
So a driveway common is a driveway shared by up to 2 residential lots,
Yeah.
but you have to have street frontage on a public street or an approved private way.
So they
That's
don't,
that's what the charters are trying to accomplish,
So they want to create a private way, basically.
so they can gain the road frontage that they need.
so the question is what's the criteria for that?
How much road frontage do they need? You have
You have
71?
71.
Well, I only have 71 on Duke Lane. So then I would need, I mean, no matter what, to get to where I would be able to build, I got to go back in almost 600 feet on that right of way to be able to get to where I can be 70 feet off of the right of way and meet the side perimeter lines and everything. I don't know if you guys wanted to look at that, it should probably give you a better idea, but
We're just trying to figure out what your one lot. It gives a construction standard.
It talks about basically that,
No.
2.3
you got,
on page
says
12.
two, this is Duke Lane.
Page 12?
Yeah.
Actually goes clubs here.
Right here.
Yeah, I got the 71 feet.
Yeah.
And this is the right of way, basically right here. I gotta get back here to build. This is.
That's it.
So
So
when
you
you're trying
want
to
to give you a frontage on this road,
He's trying to get right.
not this.
This do-
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So you're trying to create the frontage on.
On this, we
On
need
the
to name
private
right of way. Basically, it's already, right to here, that road is already upgraded all the way to here.
So how
This
far-
used to be an old wood, it's
Yeah.
an old woods road all the way in.
How far is that? How far is it from here to here?
It's roughly about 600 feet.
So wouldn't that would be nothing.
There's plenty for road, for the frontage
For
of your
road.
home, but you said you have a back lot, where's the back?
The back lot would be here, because
Ah.
my brother conveyed this 5 acres to his daughter.
So it's going to be a 50-foot right of way.
So-
Which it
But
is.
that doesn't mean it has
Access
to be
to that.
developed.
It doesn't have to
Would be
be
from here to
developed
also?
50 feet.
Correct.
I think 20 feet.
Let's do the thing here.
20 feet.
If you look at the chart, it says 20 feet has to be the minimum travel way.
How wide is
Oh, it's 50, 25 feet wide.
Well, no, Brenda's,
You could drive 2 trucks right by each
it?
other.
Okay. So
that's good.
even if it had to have a 50-foot right of way, you got 20 foot that's developed.
Right.
So
Ditched.
what does he have to have down on the ground?
And So he needs the 15 inches of gravel. And it has to be an ADOT type meeting.
That's the problem right there. It was done, all of it, what happened was already there.
So can I just ask, is that because this says exempt and non-exempt 2 to 10 lots because there's more than one lot?
He said that he wants to put it, they're eventually going to want to put a second one up there.
Yeah.
So then he's going to,
Well, it feeds the back lot, my brother's back. lot.
So that's where you have a
if there
problem.
was one lawn, he could just have bank lots.
Yeah, right. You'd be all set.
So do the one lot to begin with.
I just worry
That's
that
all.
if they're going to have to put it in eventually, do they want to dig out what they're going to do for them to get in there? And then when the second house goes in, are they going to have to, I'm not road construction. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you are familiar with that area.
No, I'm not.
Everything is all gravel. It's all bony rock and gravel.
I would like to see
It's not gonna,
the previous road commissioner, we all remember Brad.
Yeah.
He had every intention of working on this document because he said that the roads that we require in the town of Lyman are overkill.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, we're stuck with this.
Right.
I've been reading through it to see if under certain circumstances, if really good conditions exist out there, can you waive some of this? I don't know. I don't know if you want to talk to your
I don't
road
think
commissioner
so.
about this.
Yeah.
I'm not a road person. And I don't know if you want to take some time to read through this and to see how much wiggle room you have, to override some of this criteria.
Well, we do have variances and waivers listed on page 15.
You do have to.
And-
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No problem.
Yeah, you got it.
I was just saying, you're talking about the second lot, you'll have to have a hammerhead on there.
right, we gotta make enough room
Yeah,
for
that
the, right,
should be good.
which will go the 600 feet. We'll put the hammerhead in. And then if they ever went further in, they'd move another hammerhead in,
They'll have to do another one.
right, deeper in.
So it does look like maybe we'll have some ability to waive.
It just unfortunately keeps referring to the staff review committee, which we don't really use.
I think we're gonna.
Planning
have to
board
weigh
could
that
probably,
out.
maybe could do that.
I mean, to begin with, it says that they have to, submit a private way application. I have not seen anything that looks like that anywhere.
And that's,
Would you
because
be
that was back
okay
when
with the site plan review and
Sure.
a lot of it won't pertain, just be NA?
We haven't gotten that folder.
well, some of it, yeah, we did print it off after all the
I
fact,
wanna
but
build my dream home. We're trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
We bought this when our son was 1. Our son is gonna be
Yep.
23. It's like, I'm like, it's our time. Our kids are grown up. Like, I want my dream home on my 40 acres in London. I don't want anybody else around me. I just love
Of
the
course
woods.
not.
We want to get you there.
So would it be appropriate to have Mr. Tardif contact the road commissioner to look at the area,
Mhm.
to give us input back as to what he sees?
This is what I think. I think you need to, accept their application, and like I said, most of it doesn't pertain, it's very overwhelming under the best of circumstances. So, as much of that as you need, I think probably this will take a site visit.
Yeah.
And I think probably you should invite the road commissioner to go with you so that you can ask him firsthand any questions that you have and get it firsthand. And then you have to go through the process, the abutters need to be notified. They're probably the only abutters, because I think it's within 500 feet, I don't know.
yeah, the only
So,
other one would be across the
if-
street.
If you get that done, but I think the first step really is for you to see it firsthand, see if we can get Tom there with you. And what I can do, if I can get a set of those plans for maybe Tom to review before he
I'll-
goes, only so that you'll be ready to answer any questions you may have. And then I think, I'm really encouraged with that waiver section.
Well, the biggest item I see is the road base itself. The gravel that has been put down there.
It's more bank run gravel.
More
than-
bank run versus crushed gravel.
Right.
Okay, that's the biggest difference with MDOT type D is like a 4-inch minus base gravel. it's all crushed versus a bank run. But if you have drainage in place with shoulders and ditches and stuff, and crowning it properly.
Right, yeah.
you're not- There's no major.
No, that stuff doesn't, trust me, the dump truck didn't even, doesn't even leave a mark in that road when you drive it down it, so.
I have zero issue with that.
Because that was basically, it was an old road to begin with in there from, I don't know, 25 years ago. And to dig all that out, and
Has an application been submitted?
Well.
No, I'm trying to find out.
And honestly, I wasn't sure what you would want. I was hoping you want the site plan review because it's all we have.
That's all we got.
I went through all the old files to see if there was, and there must have been a permit of some kind. I couldn't find one. So if you will accept this and, as the application, and then set up, I think with the site visit and with Tom to advise you, and waive this possibility.
You want to set a date for a sidewalk?
Okay, but
With the invitation to Tom, and if you can't make it,
let's change it.
maybe a backup date or something like that.
I think it would be a really important, have Tom, if it's going to
Yeah.
slow things down, then
most definitely.
possibly you could go and, then Tom could meet with property owners, and then you could all meet back here. But let's try to get it all at one time in one place if we can. It's just this time of year, Tom's really busy.
Yeah. So what looks good in terms of a possible date?
Well, we could, if you want to do it on Saturday, I would suggest either well, let's see here. Today's the 17th. We should put a notice out on this.
Right.
You could do it on the 27th.
Right.
Because I think it's just gonna be posted 7 days later,
Right,
right?
yeah.
On the sign and the bulletin board, just for the sidewalk.
And then you eventually have to have a public hearing, and it says here, all butters within 200 feet, that can't be many. I believe it's that.
Well, I think the sidewalk will be the first thing to
Yeah,
do.
I do too.
You want to do that at 10 o'clock?
Sounds okay.
And
Shall work? On Saturday, the 27th of January?
10 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
And so will we have something to give to Tom, just so he's not going to get cold turkey, or maybe we may want to come up.
yeah, I'll get some more copies of that,
Perfect.
and I'll drop them back off.
I don't want to be blindsided.
And if there's the only thing I would just mention, while I'm thinking about it, because I probably forget it. If there's any waivers to our standards or our street acceptance ordinance, et cetera, then the applicant should be required to submit a request for that waiver in writing,
Yes.
so that
Specify.
it's clear that the planning board has considered it and voted, et cetera, to waive that. So there's no question afterwards. We
Is
can't
there a
just,
place in the site and the application to put requests for waivers? I think there is.
I think so. I think there was an issue came up previously whether a request for a waiver had been made in writing.
Yeah.
And that's what I was concerned
Do you know
about.
what the document's
Of the,
talking about? A road acceptance?
yes, I
Okay.
printed it off.
Okay, I was gonna say.
Then with the gravel and stuff like
So
that.
you can- Yeah, so maybe you can be in your mind, which of those things you'd like waived. I mean, if you want, the 15 inches of type D waived to be bank
Yeah,
high.
that's pretty
Just,
much,
just so that you can.
that's pretty much the only thing that
Right,
would be
Just
the issue.
make sure we get it as a request.
right.
That way,
It has to be
just
right.
so we don't push it out, we don't want to make it longer than that.
I've waited 22 years. You guys
What's
are
another
making me feel
22?
really good. What are we running into? So thank you.
Well,
This is
you
promising.
seem rather patient to me.
So we're good?
So sidewalk, January 27th at 10 a.m. And
Right.
then we should have this
Any
completed
information
to
that
you,
you have
copy,
available. Yeah.
and then waiver in writing what we're seeking.
Hopefully it's
for a
not buried
waiver.
in snow.
Okay.
And a copy of the proposed plan to.
Yeah, I'll get some more copies.
And we'll call,
Julie.
just as quickly as we can to get him up to speed on what's going on, and maybe he may want to come take a look with you.
Yep.
I'll have him contact you if you don't mind, or we do have his card. in my office too.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
because it's one-
Tinker Tom, right? Yep. Tom Corrado.
Just so we be ready for your questions.
And just one other thing, a site walk is a public event because there has to be a quorum of the planning board. In other words, at least 3 members have to show up. So therefore, unless the applicant has a problem, then when it's noted, we say on the site walk notice, I think members of the public are welcome. So hopefully that's not a problem for you.
Nope, no.
Usually a butter, or not usually, but sometimes a butters like to see what's going on.
Right.
And it is a public event because we have a quorum. If we can't go one at a time. It's got to be a quorum. So.
Right.
And that makes it a public event. So I just want to mention that. So
Okay.
please don't get excited if you see somebody and, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it probably won't be anybody, but you never know.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
But don't thank us yet. You're not done.
No, this is promising. This is a start. I'm thinking positive. So thank you all very much.
Next on the agenda, Brookview Estates. No show?
The email that they had sent me, I asked if they wanted to be on the last meeting on the 3rd, January 3rd, I think it was. And they said they were still working with their bank on assessing the property or something. And that this meeting was the one that was gonna work for them.
But I don't see him.
Request for a 45-day extension on the submission of the check
Yeah.
in escrow.
I'm sorry. Did they make a request for them?
No, nothing I know of, not, and that's supposed to be inviting too.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were
The
gonna
banks
be
have
here.
got really picky with the interest rates.
Obviously. So, entertain a motion to table and reschedule for the next meeting.
well, may I just mention that there is a section in the subdivision standards, it's a 12.1, but it just says the applicant, a subdivider applicant may submit written justification to the planning board for a waiver or two or modification of these standards, blah, blah, blah. And then it says where the planning board finds extraordinary and unnecessary hardships may result from strict compliance, blah, 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 blah. But the first thing, of course, it would be to get a written justification from the applicant because they did not request this. I would like to just point out for the record that when they made their voluminous application, and we did through the whole process here back in it was May and June, and when it took a long time to go through this, we had
Yes.
Southern Maine help us with this one too. So there was no written request for waiver, but there is in fact it allows a waiver, but it would have to be very well justified, I would think.
I believe at the time when they were at our meetings, didn't they ask for a bond? Did they
That's
bond
right.
instead? And we said we couldn't because our ordinance didn't allow it.
Right, because it says it says right in there that there'll be a bond in another section.
So they were, I mean, they were aware of that.
They were notified of that.
That's right.
Yeah, it says,
It's
yeah,
in the rule, yeah.
certified check is on page 15721.
Right.
So that was, and it doesn't say anything about bonds, but they can request a waiver, but that's up to them. But ignoring us isn't going to help it.
Well, one thing you will consider too, if they do formally ask for a waiver on this and up for bond, is there any precedent for that type of waiver? To my recollection, no.
We haven't
Since
done
I've been
it.
on the board since 2012.
We haven't done a subdivision in
I
a
know we
long
haven't.
time. I don't remember a request for waiver either,
Okay.
but
All right, well,
anyway, it's really the ball's in their court, I would think.
we had a motion to table.
Yep.
Did we have a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
So we'll put that on the agenda for the following meeting. Any updates from Brenda? We'll get back to that. Minutes from 1/3/24.
Yeah, I would like to make a one-word change. Maybe you could do it in ink. Under new business, and I should have caught this. It says, Joe Wagner spoke, and I would say add the word noted, and noted the select board's acceptance of blah, blah, blah. See where in the front sentence there, because it doesn't read properly.
Joe
I would just add,
Noted.
yeah, and noted. If that's okay with everybody, it's the only, I missed my nits, I'm sorry.
I got that one.
I missed them too.
I was goofing off, I don't know
You
what
were
I was.
silent on that.
I probably should, I don't know. I was doing something. I was fixing to work at it, but I didn't quite get there.
Motion to approve as amended. Second.
Second. Oh, actually,
Any further
because I
discussion?
didn't- I don't think I was at, I didn't attend the meeting, so.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's sign that. Recovering. Let's see, old business, Harper Residential.
Silence from them still.
Okay, we're back on the agenda afterwards. Mr. Gaspin, with respect to a removable dock in a right-of-way easement.
He said he would get back to me when he and I believe it's one of the other neighbors.
Mhm.
She has a tight schedule, so he said when she's available, he would let me know. Hopefully
Okay.
soon.
Again, I think the operative correspondence was in November of last year from Brenda to Mr. Gaspin and others in that vicinity about, let's see, in my opinion, a permit cannot be written to construct a structure on a site that the applicant does not own. Therefore, the temporary dock cannot be placed on the site going forward, and that's still.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it seems pretty straightforward, doesn't it?
Same thing, table that for now, and stick it on the agenda for the.
Yeah.
All right. Now, we did have Rustic Dreams on the agenda originally. One instance, Mr. Civigny spoke to the town manager, and the town manager is encouraging Mr. Civigny to contact us. That's what I saw in the email. Okay.
So what are we gonna do this, I mean, what's the story here? These guys just ignoring us, right? Is that the right thing to say or not?
Well,
No, can't say that. All right.
Talking to the town manager.
Disregard.
maybe communication with the town manager to get clarification and direction on this, and I'll take it upon myself to do that.
All right.
Well, in conjunction with the,
I'm just gonna come up and say it. I believe that, the process that I started is the right process. I am very confident that I've done everything I can do to communicate.
Mhm.
I talked to the property owner directly. He wanted me on the next meeting. And I would like to set that up as a preliminary meeting. And I think I told you at our workshop last week that sometimes I bring things to you just because I don't know what you want or what I should be doing, and I'd rather get direction from you before I do the wrong thing. So I'm calling this pre-application meeting.
Yeah, that's authorized
And,
in the ordinance.
I thought that was all set up.
Oh.
I'm not certain it is set up.
Oh.
So what I would like to suggest is that we wait until the next meeting and see what transpires. Because that was the agreed upon
Okay.
pre-application meeting.
Okay.
And then I think we need to make some decisions from there. And I think this board has the authority to do what you're doing. So I don't know that we need direction from anyone else. I mean, all of our direction is right there in that book.
Follow the process.
Okay.
And that's my stance.
Place Rustic Dreams on the agenda for the next meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. We'll set the agenda towards the end. Hope you don't mind a couple of updates here and there. Anything on Cottage Road, the Army Corps of Engineers?
I've been talking to Sarah at Governor King's office this week. She's trying so hard with the Army Corps of Engineers. They're not real receptive. I don't know that we've actually gotten through to the property owners recently.
Maxim?
But it is on our radar.
Okay. Also, Brad Moore, the county council, got back to us on the issue that Kevin brought up in terms of outstanding liens, and would that factor into our acceptance of an application in the first part, or would we place it as a condition to get remedied before we approve anything? And essentially, in his correspondence dated Monday of this year, essentially said, no, that should not be a consideration.
Yeah, actually, I thought, I guess for the thousands of people that are watching us, I would say that I thought his response was actually rather lucid. I'm not that I haven't said he hasn't been in the past, but I'm just saying it actually was pretty doggone clear. I thought he wrote a very good response and pointed out some possible pitfalls. I think the idea was well stated and certainly valid to bring up, but I'm glad that we were able to get a response from the town attorney that, says, hey, consider these factors. And I thought he did a pretty darn good job on that.
1, 2, 3, 4. If you may, I'll summarize for the record, for the viewing public. Is unaware of any provision in the zoning ordinance which relates to a person's history in paying taxes. 2, Maine statutes contain several remedies for collecting taxes. 3, it may not be good policy. If this was a condition, it could be applied across the board to everyone, no exceptions. And 4, there are already a number of collection remedies in the statute.
Yeah. So he gave it consideration, I thought, and provided a very logical answer, which was good. So good for you, Mr. Moore.
Also, just a reminder, something I mentioned in the workshop on Saturday, that there are a couple of webinars sponsored by Maine Municipal Association that might be interested in. One on the 30th on the state legislative process, on the 13th of next month on planning boards and zoning boards of appeal, and also one on March 7th on the Freedom of Access Act.
Oh.
So, if you're interested, then contact the town manager about the process of applying for that. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Letter that Kevin drafted with respect to our support of our town's membership for the Southern Maine Development Commission, and also a recommendation that the aerial mapping surveying would also be quite helpful for our purposes. I entertain okay. Entertain a motion to approve it and sign it and send it on its way.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Second,
A second.
and further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Kevin, thank you very much.
Yeah, that was good.
Really well done. Now, we didn't on Saturday at least formally record our proceedings in the workshop and discussion of docs. But I did draft for my notes just a sketch of what we covered. So if you'd like, I'll distribute that to everybody. I don't think we have to post it, or would it be appropriate to post?
I don't think you have to.
Okay. All right.
If you want to,
Maybe we could make an addendum to these minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be a good place for it, I would think.
Just essentially what I mentioned in terms of action items. Prepare a public service announcement reminder regarding aligning shoreland ordinance regarding docks. And see what's done just that. We'll address that in just a little bit. Encourage the CEO to dialogue with the Kippack Pond Association possibly for the goal of having them mentor other associations with respect to what's permissible in the docks. Maybe a voluntary survey of what's up there on the waters when they are put into place. Okay, we got that at 6. How about the public service announcement?
Oh,
And then, let's see, stocks. I don't want to get a chance to read that. Yeah, thanks to Don for going through the records and seeing the vote that was taken on our proposal back in 2021.
yeah, I couldn't find the actual details, but I think Cecile did, didn't you? You found the,
Yes, I
in the
did
minutes.
find.
that was the one that it didn't, that's the one that did not
It
pass.
did not pass, right.
Vote was 246 for, 276 against.
Yeah, I was,
Close, but
So
it didn't pass, however, the town still has to abide by the state requirements, right?
I would think so.
yeah, well, the DEP has in chapter 1000, we've got.
And we
Word
got
for
it an
word
hour, so
in
it
the
did, it
shoreline.
really, to me, that's an ordinance change that really should not even have to go to the public because we're required to enforce
Well,
that.
I'm afraid you gotta, but it's a charter and,
But I mean, really,
Yeah, I know.
we can't go any less, we could make it more strict,
That's
but we
right.
can't make it
No,
less.
you're
so
right.
We can't ignore it.
but I think, the way the charter is, you gotta go and get it. But I mean, I don't know, we haven't had that situation before. And I think if the state wanted to raise the issue, they could. I don't say they would, but if they could, it's in their rules and we gotta follow those rules.
Right.
But it should be in our ordinance too, really.
So based on what we were discussing in the workshop, would we be okay with forwarding this to the select board, town manager and select board, requesting that this be inserted in the mailing on property taxes?
Sure.
Yeah, the way it reads, it's informational. It's the, it's in shoreline zoning ordinance verbatim.
And the only issue if they don't want to do that, then the other thing might be to put it on the website or something or whatever. On that,
As a reminder. of some sort.
yeah, or send it. There is that MailChimp thing. I guess, is that MailChimp? The one they keep,
It has to email it, it goes to all the email.
but that's only to people who have signed up. That doesn't go to everybody. I mean, a lot of people haven't signed up on that.
I think that public service announcement's good direction.
Yeah.
In the mailer, right?
Yeah.
If they will.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
really
I
good.
think people would be aggravated if they got that email, especially if they're not shorefront property.
Yep.
Say, why am I getting this?
So, motion to send this to the town manager and select board for insertion with the mailing.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So thank you very much for all the effort on this. Let's see. We got that. We need the glasses to figure out what the next time is. Sorry. So the quarterly report. We're all good with with that to be forwarded to the select board?
Where's it?
I don't think we got a copy in
Yeah, I think it was in there.
There's a copy.
Yeah, it's in
Oh,
here.
my
I
apologies.
just had it a
Oh,
second
yes,
ago.
it is. My apologies. This is right there.
You set it aside to be signed, I think.
Yes, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
You didn't have to post it on all of that.
That's right. That's what we.
Oh, here it is.
Did we approve with the changes to the language?
I think there was just a little change.
I think there was one, I think I had
Yep.
Mhm.
recommended changing one because it was a conditional
Yeah.
Okay.
application, conditional permit. It just said that we wouldn't have conditional permits anymore. so
Set the
we
property
changed
to
it.
discuss current usage and conditional use requirements.
So it's changed to a,
Did I change it or did I miss something?
Which one are you looking at, Joe?
Let's see, the annex to.
Bartlett?
Let's see, reviewing original conditional use permit, okay, there. Met the property owner to discuss current usage and conditional use requirements.
I think so, because that was the instrument for that.
Yeah, that
That's
was,
true.
that's okay, I think.
And.
Yes is good. Did you do this, Brenda? Or Jilly did? Very good.
I never. She did the first one, I just kind of tweaked it. She even remembered to do it, I didn't remember.
No, it's a good, I think this is I think quarterly is better than trying to do something monthly.
Yep.
Because it's just not, it drags it out. I mean, it's too much. It's quarterly is good.
If we don't have anything else, set the agenda for the next meeting. I'm sorry.
And can we discuss that? I put some thought to this.
Mhm.
And I'm really happy that we take the time to set the agenda. But I would like to make it maybe a little more formal. I would like you maybe to set an agenda and actually vote on it.
Sure.
Because I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
But
Quite agree.
and part of the reason is, this is sometimes the only cohesive history that you have of all of these issues that you're working with. And sometimes we're not very careful. If something comes off, we don't actually state why it came off. So I feel like nothing should come off that document unless you say,
Yeah.
no longer an issue, or, make a statement as to why it's coming off, instead of just dropping off, because if you go back and you have to research something and it's there.
You can't find it,
it's there,
yeah.
And all of a sudden it isn't. And also because I don't think from the time that you said it for a reason, and then the time that you actually work with it, nothing should change. And I asked Julie, how often do we actually add something? It's only 2 weeks. I don't think there's any, and if it is something that is just so vital and that it needs to come to you, sometimes I tuck that into the CEO updates.
Mhm.
I almost think we even have an other though.
Well, we do say in that agenda, it says subject to change without notice.
Right.
So there's some weasel words. I don't like that much, but
I don't
it's,
like that much either. I don't, because, you're making a statement of what you're going to address at the next meeting. Now, if there's anybody out there that says that
Sure.
really matters to me,
they'll come.
I want to be there. I want to know that it's going to be there, that if they assume that it's next meeting, show up and we just arbitrarily took it off. for
Right.
whatever reason.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't think, I'd like to make the agenda a little more formal. than what
Okay.
we
That's
have.
good.
Okay.
Sounds
So
good
what
idea.
would you do with like Du Bois tonight?
That was a subject that we've been talking about all along, really.
If it was
I mean, we
on the
did-
agenda?
We didn't have it on the agenda per se because we hadn't nailed it down
Mhm.
yet, but we had been talking. So that wasn't like a new issue. I mean,
As long as things are flexible, so we can make
I
changes.
like it to be flexible, but I don't want anybody to have the authority to play the agenda.
Understood.
Well, I do think it's a good idea to, as much as possible, promulgate it early, because if people are interested, they can come and see. Now, again, we haven't had a standing room only since, well, I remember one over in the firehouse, but that's another subject. Anyhow, it's been a long time, but people should have the ability to know that a subject that might affect them, especially if it's in their neighborhood or something, then they'd be interested. I mean, people really don't care about anything unless it affects them. And I shouldn't say that, but that's my feeling. And then it comes up and they get excited, but let's give them a chance to get excited here. Enjoy it like we do.
So what does the zoning say, the regulations say, who makes the agenda? Because I know with the
Everything in the
selectmen,
bylaws
it's the chairman.
And that's what I was just
I don't know
gonna
if
say,
it's
if you
covered.
want to allow some flexibility, maybe it can only be the approval of the chairman to make a change. And that should, to me, that should be so rare.
Yep.
It shouldn't be, and it shouldn't be Julie, and it shouldn't be anybody else.
I'm not sure we
Well,
covered that.
I think the reasoning behind it is you don't want just anybody coming in saying, I want to be on the agenda
Right.
and upsetting the decorum for the meeting. So that it needs to be controlled, not by 5, but by 1.
And I've been kind of working on, I haven't run it by you yet because it's not real, of maybe even having an application. I'm not, if someone wants to speak to you about something and it's not a site plan review application or a best practical location, they just want to approach the planning board, then it's on paper about what they want to talk about. And
That's probably not a bad idea.
I don't think it's a bad idea at all. And if it's something that really is time sensitive and they really need to be here by the next meeting, then I can provide that to the chairman and he can say, yes, let's have it, or we need something more.
Well, here it is. Well, it says in, under Article 8 agendas in the brilliant planning board bylaws, it says all agendas, 8.1, all agendas are set by the board, which is the planning board, or the chair. And then it says, normal meeting agendas are to be posted in accordance with state statutes. Special meetings or workshops shall be noticed and posted as per 7.1 of this bylaw. So it doesn't, and then it says, and it goes on a little bit, but it does say set by the board or the chair. So,
So if when you deliberate on what you want your agenda to be for the next meeting, then you can actually take a look.
Yes.
sounds like a plan.
So let's walk through what items.
I actually have
Okay. Sorry,
things to go for next meeting.
Mhm.
The YMCA day camp is on the next agenda. Eileen Kelly, who is the town health officer, would like to just come in and introduce herself to all of you and meet you formally. And Brookview, will reach out to them and say, hey, why weren't you here? But
Mhm.
they should be on the next agenda.
Rustic Dreams.
Mm-hmm.
He agreed to be at the next meeting, so I'd like to see him on the agenda.
Yeah.
That's fine. Let's see. And as for old business, Harper and Mr. Gaspin.
Yeah, I gotta carry them until they.
The YMCA.
They have a at 1 week art, STEM arts.
Day camp.
Day camp.
Well, this is the day camp.
Yep.
Sorry.
Oh,
I wasn't sure if this was okay.
any other items?
Do we want to keep Du Bois kind of on the whole business
Yeah, let's.
as a
Is that
follow-up?
old?
Yeah.
I think you need Mr. Tarr on here too,
That sounds good.
the site walk.
Yeah, Mr. Tardif would be up at the next meeting to review your site walk
Very
minutes.
good.
That's right.
Right.
That's true. Any other topics? Good. I make a motion that the agenda is set with those items.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anything else? Fire away.
Our last meeting, beginning, was a little, I wouldn't say contentious, but it was kind of a full room, and our CEO stood up and said that she didn't believe that the noise was coming from his song. And lo and behold, it didn't come from his song. And I believe that's a very good thing, and I believe our CEO is doing an excellent job. I just want that for the
Agreed.
public record.
Agreed. Yes.
I didn't bring any candy, but I can.
It's because he ate it all.
No, actually, now that Kelly isn't here, he took all my Halloween candy that I didn't eat. I didn't want to eat. No, that's good. That's good. Yeah, it's good. We got to work together on these things, which is good.
You say, well, at least he was good for something.
No, he'll be back. He'll be back. Oh, there's a pen here. I'll sign this thing. Go on here.
4. And let's see, quarterly report, in support of Southern Maine.
There's an agenda there. I mean, minutes if you want to pass it.
Yep.
Did you sign it already?
No, I have not. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is everything else? I think you all, who else was having one of these, right? Tom?
Yeah, you got a couple of copies of that for everyone that's, to get the street, three of them.
Yeah, okay.
There you go.
There's the original.
Good tool.
Yes.
Okay.
You all set? Adjourn. Can I make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Everyone's excited.
All those in favor?
We're gonna get out of here.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
And the one official, can I say, I think you do a fabulous job, and it's not an easy job.
Well, sometimes it works. It's unfortunate when you have someone who's trying to do the right thing and you have to tell them they're in trouble.
I know, it's not easy to say that.
Well,
But you
Yeah.
do it well.
you got to say something. You can't just